There is a quiet moment in life that almost no one prepares you for. It is the moment you realize they have already decided who you are. Nothing dramatic happens. No loud argument. No sharp words. Just a look. A pause that lingers a little too long. A conversation that shifts when you enter the room. You begin to feel it in the air like a change in temperature. Why? They have formed their picture of you. And somehow, it does not match who you know yourself to be. At first, you question it. Perhaps you misunderstood. Perhaps you were imagining it. But then, it happens again and again. The small interruptions. The way your ideas are brushed aside. The way your silence is mistaken for uncertainty. The way your patience is taken as a lack of strength. You begin to notice how quickly they speak over you, how easily they assume your limits, how confidently they define your future without ever asking about your dreams. It is a strange feeling to be present yet unseen, to be capable yet quietly doubted, and in that space, something inside you stirs. It is not anger, at least not at first. It is something softer, a quiet ache, a desire to correct them, to explain yourself, to lay out your thoughts clearly so they finally understand. You imagine the words you could say. You imagine the moment when their faces change, when realization replaces doubt, when they finally nod and say, "I didn't see it before." There is a longing in that imagined moment, a longing to be recognized, to be believed in. Is that longing weakness? Is that longing weakness or is it simply human? We all want to be seen for who we truly are. We all hope that somewhere someone will look at us and say, "I trust you. I see your depth." But sometimes that moment does not come. Sometimes they have already placed you inside a small frame, and no matter how much you grow, they continue to look at the old picture. And this is where the real discomfort begins. Not because they doubt you, but because you feel the urge to fight that doubt. Your mind begins to race. You replay conversations at night. You adjust your words and your thoughts. You build careful explanations that you may never say out loud. You carry silent arguments within you. It becomes heavy. Their disbelief starts to echo inside your own head, not loudly, but softly. Like a whisper, asking, "What if they are right?" You try to push that whisper away. You remind yourself of your effort, your quiet progress, your unseen discipline, yet the feeling lingers. Why does their opinion weigh so much? Jaya, why does being misunderstood hurt so deeply? Perhaps it is being doubted feels like being dismissed, as if your inner world, the thoughts, the struggles, the growth no one witnessed, does not exist. And that can feel lonely. Matt, that can feel lonely. You sit with it in silence. No, one sees this part. No, one hears the questions turning in your mind. Outwardly, you remain calm. Inward, you are searching for solid ground. You begin to notice something subtle. The pain is not only from their disbelief, it is from the part of you that still wants their approval. That realization is quiet, almost uncomfortable. because it means the battle is not truly with them. It is within you. In the stillness of that awareness, a new question arises, a gentle one. If they never change their minds, who will you be? If they continue to see you through a narrow lens, will you shrink to fit it? Or will you remain steady, even if no one claps, no one nods, no one believes? The room where doubt lived begins to feel different. It is no longer just a place where they misjudge you. It becomes a place where you meet yourself. And in that meeting, something important begins to unfold. There are words you never say out loud. They gather quietly inside you, forming careful sentences in the privacy of your thoughts. At night, when everything is still, you replay moments that unsettled you. You hear again the tone they used. You see again the look in their eyes. And you begin to shape your response. This time, you would speak more clearly. This time, you would explain yourself better. This time, they would finally understand. In your mind, the conversation goes perfectly. You remain calm. Your words are steady. You reveal your intentions, your effort, your quiet strength. And in that imagined exchange, they pause. They soften. They see you differently. But morning comes, and the words remain unspoken. Why? Perhaps because something inside you hesitates. How quickly a calm tone can shift when you feel unheard. You sense how fragile understanding can be when it depends on convincing someone else. They misunderstand your silence. They think you have nothing to say. They assume your patience is uncertainty. They interpret your restraint as weakness, and that stings. It stings because you know how much you have endured quietly. You know the discipline it takes to hold your emotions steady. You know the strength required to walk away from arguments that could easily consume you. Yet they do not see that part. They see only what is visible. And what is visible is your stillness. Sometimes you wonder, is it worth correcting them? Would it ease the ache inside you to finally speak every truth you have been holding? Or would it simply tie your peace to their reaction, what disses the weight of unsaid words? It is not only about what you could say, it is about what might happen if you do. Because when you begin to explain yourself repeatedly, something subtle happens. You start measuring your worth by how well you are understood. You begin adjusting your tone, your presence, your pace, hoping it will finally fit their expectations. And slowly, without noticing, you move further away from your natural center. You feel it, a quiet discomfort. You are not angry. You are not loud, but you are tired. Tired of rehearsing conversations that never happen. Tired of defending a character they already decided for you. Tired of carrying invisible tension in your chest. It is a strange exhaustion, the kind that comes not from action, but from holding back reaction. You sit with your thoughts and ask yourself something honest. Why do I need them to see what I already know? Why do I need them to see what I already know? It comes with curiosity. It invites you to look gently at your own heart. There is a part of you that still seeks validation. A small, quiet part that hopes someone else will confirm your value. It is not shameful. It is human. But when that need becomes too strong, it begins to disturb your peace. You notice how your mind becomes restless around them, how your body tightens slightly, how your words become carefully chosen, almost cautious. You are no longer simply being. You are managing perception. And that is heavy. In the quiet of your reflection, another realization begins to rise. If you spend your energy trying to correct every misunderstanding, you will have little energy left to grow. If you rush to respond to every doubt, you will remain tied to it. Perhaps silence is not weakness. Perhaps it is space. Space to observe. Space to breathe. Space to choose. You begin to see that not every misjudgment requires an answer. Not every assumption deserves your explanation. Some things reveal themselves in time. Some truths do not need defense. And slowly, the words you once rehearsed lose their urgency. They are still there. You could speak them if you wished, but they no longer press against your lips with desperation. Instead, you watch, you listen, you learn something deeper about yourself. The need to react is loud, but the decision not to is quiet strength beginning to form. And in that quiet, you feel the first hint of relief, not because they changed, but because something within you did. There is a kind of strength that does not ask to be seen. It does not clear its throat before entering a room. It does not gather attention. It does not rush to defend itself. It simply stands quietly within. For a long time, you may have believed that power must be visible, that it must speak loudly, act quickly, respond firmly, that if you do not correct every false idea about you, it will become truth. But something begins to change. You start to notice that the urge to react rises quickly, like a spark. It feels urgent. It feels necessary. Your heart beats a little faster. Your thoughts sharpen. Words line up, ready to be released. And then you pause. In that pause, there is a small space. A space between feeling and action. A space so brief it is often ignored. But this time, you remain there. You watch the emotion instead of obeying it. It is not comfortable at first. The body wants movement. The mind wants resolution. They misunderstand you again. They speak with certainty about things they do not truly know. They look at you through that same narrow frame. And still, you do not rush forward. You begin to ask yourself something simple. What would happen if I did nothing? Not out of fear, not out of weakness, but out of choice. There is a quiet dignity in that question, because for the first time, your silence is not forced. It is not the silence of someone who feels small. It is the silence of someone who sees clearly. You see that reacting would only pull you into a cycle of proving, explain I, ning, defending, correcting. And even if you succeeded once, you would have to succeed again tomorrow. Is that strength? To 15. Or is it dependence disguised as courage? True discipline is not loud. It is steady. It is the ability to feel anger without becoming it, to feel hurt without spreading it, to feel misunderstood without collapsing into self-doubt. This discipline is invisible. No one applauds it. No one notices the storm you calm inside yourself. They may even believe you have nothing to say, but you know the truth. You know how much you held back. You know how many words you chose not to release. You know how much pride you swallowed in order to protect your peace. And slowly, something beautiful begins to grow. You stop trying to control how they see you. You stop adjusting your spirit to fit their expectations. You stop shrinking, and you also stop fighting. You simply remain. There is great power in remaining. It is not passive. It is not empty. It is full of awareness. You listen more carefully. You observe without rushing to judgment. You respond only when it truly matters. And often, it does not. You realize that your worth does not increase when they approve of you. And it does not decrease when they doubt you. It remains steady, like a quiet flame protected from the wind. They may continue to misunderstand. They may speak with confidence about your limits. They may never fully see the depth within you. But something inside you no longer trembles at that thought. Why? Because your identity is no longer placed in their hands. It rests within your own understanding. There is a calm that comes with this shift, a calm that feels almost sacred. You walk differently, not with arrogance, not with defiance, but with quiet certainty. You do not rush to prove. You do not hurry to respond. You do not bend to every opinion. And in this restraint, discover something surprising. Silence can speak. It speaks through consistency. It speaks through patience. It speaks through the quiet confidence of someone who does not need permission to believe in themselves. But you do. I feel it in the steadiness of your breath, in the softness of your thoughts, in the way you can sit with discomfort without being controlled by it. This is the strength. And perhaps it was never meant for them to see. It was meant for you. There comes a quiet evening within you, not outside, where the sky darkens and the world slows, but inside, where the noise of proving yourself begins to fade. You notice it gently. The need to be believed in does not press against your chest the way it once did. The urge to explain, to defend, to correct, it no longer feels urgent. It is still there sometimes, like an old habit knocking softly at the door, but you do not feel compelled to answer. They may still speak, as they always have. They may still hold their quiet doubts. They may still look at you and see only what fits their old understanding. And somehow, it no longer disturbs your center. What changed? Not them. You. You began to see that your path was never meant to be carried by their approval. It was never meant to depend on their belief. Their doubt was only a mirror, reflecting their own limits, not yours. When you stop reacting, something steady begins to build inside you. It builds slowly, like a foundation laid stone by stone. No one hears the work being done. No one sees the careful placement of each decision to remain calm. But you feel it. You feel the strength in choosing silence when words would only scatter your peace. You feel the dignity in letting misunderstanding exist without chasing it away. You feel the quiet confidence of someone who no longer needs to announce their depth. There is a certain freedom in this, freedom from the exhausting cycle of seeking validation, freedom from the restless nights of rehearsing conversations, freedom from tying your worth to someone else's vision. You begin to move through the world differently, not louder, just steadier. You listen more than you speak. You observe more than you react. And when you do speak, your words come from clarity, not from wounded pride. This is not indifference. It is not coldness. It is peace. A peace that does not depend on agreement. A peace that does not tremble when misunderstood. A peace that knows who it is, even in a room full of doubt. They may never fully believe in you. They may never turn around and say the words you once longed to hear. And that is all right. Because something more important has happened. You believe in yourself. Not in a loud, dramatic way, but in a quiet, steady way. The kind of belief that does not need witnesses. The kind that continues even when no one is watching. You trust your own pace. You trust your own growth. You trust the silence that shapes you. And in this trust, there is no rush. You no longer feel behind. You no longer feel the need to prove your worth on anyone's timeline. Your value is not a performance. It is not a debate. It is not something that must be defended in every conversation. It simply is. There will still be moments when doubt brushes against you, moments when their words echo faintly in your mind. But now, those echoes do not stay long. They pass through like wind moving through open space. You remain calm, grounded, certain. You understand something now that you did not understand before. Silence was never emptiness. It was construction. Every time you chose not to react, you were building strength. Every time you held your emotions with care, you were deepening your self-respect. Every time you allowed misunderstanding without losing yourself, you were shaping a quiet power within. And this power does not need recognition. It does not seek applause. It does not demand belief. It simply walks beside you, steady and faithful. So if they never see you clearly, let that be their journey. Yours is inward. And in the quiet space, where no one is watching, where no one is judging, where no one is doubting, you sit with yourself. Not defensive, not restless. Just at peace, and that peace is enough.